Hi everybody, I'm Ivan Pesenti from Italy, and today we are gonna see how to debug a Go application with Delve and VSCode. So let's get started. First of all, why debugging? There are three reasons about why debugging. First of all, to get a better knowledge of our code base, to detect bugs, and to inspect variables values and the complex objects we might have in our stack traces. So, what we can debug? We can debug a unit test, we can debug integration test, we can debug CLI apps, microservices, benchmarks, or any piece of code that is in your mind. Delve is the debugger for Go programs and is part of the Go tooling systems. It can also be installed outside of VS Code, and it will listen to our commands through a CLI-based interface. Back to VS Code, we have settings.json file, which is a JSON file that hosts all of our configuration of VS Code. Themes, extension settings, keyboard shortcuts, and so on, for productivity and consistency. An example of settings is DLV-DAP, which is the debug adapter that can be set either to DLV-DAP or legacy, which is the previous one. Conversely, we have the launch.json file, which is a specific launch.json file accessible through the Run View menu, and it allows us to specify a configuration to debug a specific piece of code. The easiest example is how to debug a package, and we can set, with the profile on the right, a couple of configurations, such as type, request mode, and so on, and we are good to go, and we can step through our code. Another easy example is debug a unit test. To do this, we have to rely on the profile on the left, where we can specify a bunch of flags, such as -v, verbose, or -run, and specify the specific tests that we would like to debug. Integration test. Let's start by looking at the source code, which simply adds an item in a database by enforcing some check constraints. And to debug an integration test on this piece of code, we have to rely to the profile on the left, which adds the build flags, such as --tags equal to integration, and if the tests rely on testify library, we can also specify the specific test within the subsuite, within the suite. Touch to process. So first of all, we have to compile our program by specifying some flags, and then we have to run it and select the PID, which is the process ID that our process has on our local running machine. Then, by invoking it with a simple curl command, we can step through our code. The trickiest example that we are going to see today is the compound configurations. Let's say that we have multiple microservices outline on the left and sample source code on the right, and we would like to debug all of them together at once. So, by relying on a configuration like this one, on the right, we can see that we have to list the specific profiles, each one for a microservice, MS billing, inventory, and then a compounds configuration that lists all of them and make sure that they will be brought up together at once. And then, by using that little drop-down, we can select which microservices we care about, and in the debug console, we can see the relevant logs for it. Another scenario is to debug programs that accept user input provided by the CLI. And to do this, we have to specify integrated terminal as the value for the console attribute in our launch profile, and then we are good to go. Another interesting scenario is to see global package variables, which are hidden by default, and in order to make them visible, we have to set show global variables to true in our launch.json file, and we can see them listed in the debug view. Lastly, let's suppose that we would like to debug our function directly in debug console. Just prepend the function identifiers plus its arguments with the keyword call, and we can do as many invocations as we want in our debug console. Thank you, everybody. On the left, there is a QR code for a GitHub repo I used to craft this presentation, and on the right, there are my socials. Feel free to add me, and see you around.